Trustee Gieser.
Here.
Trustee Fruzzoloni. Trustee McCarthy.
Here.
Mayor Severino.
Here. Please stand and face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of our November 15, 2021 Village Board meeting?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Trustee McCarthy, seconded by Trustee Gieser. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Trustee Berger.
Aye.
Trustee Garvey.
Aye.
Trustee Zalick.
Aye.
Trustee Gieser.
Aye.
Trustee McCarthy.
Aye.
Under listening posts, addresses from the audience, we have one tonight. We have one to read. Is that correct? Is there just one to read? Two to read?
There are two to read, yes.
They're all yours, Madam Clerk.
All right, the first letter is from Joanne Talbot for the 12/6/21 Village Board meeting regarding ending mask mandates. Hello, I hope you will consider following the lead of nearby communities such as Elk Grove and Naperville and end the mask mandate in Carroll Stream. The leaders of these communities considered the available data and logically concluded that mask mandates are not contributing in any significant way to the general health of their residents, and in some cases are detrimental. It is time to get our children and our communities back to normal. It would be a truly appreciated holiday gift to the citizens of Carroll Stream. Thank you for considering my comments. And that was actually submitted on November 21st. The second message is from Trustee Mary Fruzzoloni. The subject is board meeting public comment. I'd like this read as a trustee versus resident. I want to take a moment to thank the board, staff, and residents during my medical absence. My surgery and recovery has been more extensive than anticipated. The prayers, cards, meals, and well wishes have helped me and my family immensely. I want to thank the board for filling in for me at public events and meetings. I'm truly hoping to make an appearance at Christmas sharing this week. I hope to be able to resume my trustee duties when I get cleared by my doctor. I know there has been talk about canceling our December 22nd board meeting. I wanted to take the time to thank the village board, Mayor Severino, and our amazing village staff for all the hard work in 2021. I wish you and your families a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a healthy New Year. Warmly, Mary Fruzzoloni, Village Trustee.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That's it. Okay, then we have Bob Soboleski. Take the podium, please. Is that on? Yeah, I see it.
Yeah,
Green light.
it's green.
And you want to talk about the push tax on gaming?
Correct. First of all, happy holidays to everyone.
You too.
Thank you, thank you. Before we get started, I just want to thank all of you for what you do. I had the opportunity to talk to Mr. McCarthy over the weekend and, explain to him or tried to ask him how you guys do what you do as far as the time that you spend. At the end of a long day, I have loved to just go home, kick the feet up, have a cold brew, and watch a movie. You guys, your day starts after hours and the weekends, and what you do is truly appreciated. You don't have the luxury of being able to do that, and we do appreciate that. We also appreciate the opportunity to come here and talk to you about this. The forum is a fantastic forum. I don't know how much time I have, but the reason I am here is to discuss the push tax. We really didn't receive any official notification on it. And so I was wondering if it was actually, passed and part of the law now, if someone would be able to give a brief summary of what it is and how it's to work.
So you would like a brief summary?
Just a brief summary of what it is and.
You want the attorney to do it, Bob, or would you like to do it?
I can give you a brief description of what it is. There are several municipalities in Illinois that had enacted a push tax, which is a penny per push of the gaming machine. So if they push the gaming machine 100 times, it would be $1 tax on that individual. The tax is on the person playing the machine, not on the restaurant. And it's the responsibility of the gaming operator to collect the tax and remit it back to the municipality. The state of Illinois realized that some municipalities were enacting a push tax, so they passed legislation that prohibited municipalities after a certain date. Village attorney, I forgot what that date was, but we had to act quickly in order to enact the push tax, which would allow us to hold the line on property taxes and other taxes. So that's basically what it is. You don't have to do anything on your part. The gaming operator has to do that.
Okay, so I guess, and that's thank you for the explanation. So this is intended to be imposed on customers playing the machines?
Correct.
Okay, so the question now becomes, in talking to several people, how do they collect that? You know, I can think of three different ways. I mean, we leave it up to, you know, put a box in there and have the customers, because by the time the tax comes, the customer is long gone. So is it an honor system? Do we do that? Where you just leave a box with a note saying, hey, count the number of pushes, put your money in, and go on? Is it a change in programming of the machine? So every $4 bet is now only $3.99, where you take out the penny, and the operator then collects it and gives it to the village. And I don't even know if that could even be supported by the state or scientific gaming, because now you got different programs for different villages. So, you know, how do the operators get that from the actual people playing the games? Mm-hmm. You know, or, you know, at the very end, are you just expecting a report at the end of the month and saying, okay, there was X number of pushes, and so this is how much you owe? And if that's the case, you know, is that really a tax on the person playing the game, or is that a fee being paid by the operators?
Yeah, we actually sent forms to the gaming operators, and I believe we've received the forms back from all the operators except two. So it's our understanding that they know how many pushes they're doing
Correct.
per machine.
Correct.
Yeah. So
But how do they get the money after the operator or the customer is already gone?
well, they're remitted a certain fee for those terminals that are in your establishment. So they would take the 1 penny per push, and they know how many pushes there are, and remit that fee back to the village.
But it's still not coming from the customer.
It is coming from.
It is coming from the customer.
So they're able to change the program to collect it from the
Push
customer?
tax is not new. Push taxes have been instituted in many other states, so the operators do know how to deal with push taxes. And the push tax is very similar to a situation like sales tax, where you pay the sales tax and then it's actually the retailer that ends up
Yeah.
filling out the form and paying the sales tax. In this situation, the tax is on each game that's played, each push that's made, and then they, within their program, you know the number of pushes and are able to calculate that out and are able to then make the payments.
Okay, but I guess my question would be is, I bet $4, 1 push. How do you get the penny? Where does that come from? Because the $4 is being played by the customer.
It comes from the operator, and the operator does whatever they need to do to the program to be able to.
Okay, but now you're
Calculate.
talking the program change, which now is part of scientific gaming, which is state regulated and can vary from village to village. Let's say that, you know, Bloomingdale does 2 cents a push, and St. Charles does nothing, and we do a penny. Is that what we're saying?
The same way that sales tax may be, municipal sales tax may be, 1% in one town and 2% in another town. It's.
Well, I guess the only difference that I see is that I have a firm number for a sales tax. If somebody spends $10 in the restaurant, I know it's 8% plus 2% on alcohol.
Right.
So I know exactly what that is, and I collect it from the customer at that point. I'm still being told that there's really no way to get this collected from the people that we are intending to tax. And therefore, it's not really a tax, it's a fee, and so we will have to pay half.
You know, the taxes has been upheld elsewhere. You know, it's not a fee, it's a tax. There are very many taxes that are charged to the customer and that are collected by the business owner. And in this situation, the person responsible for collecting the tax is the terminal operator, not you as the terminal location, but the operator.
Correct, but they are able to split anything over a $250 cost. And if we call it a tax or a fee or whatever, right now we pay half of the scientific gaming. And we split everything after the state takes their 33%. And so here, I'm still having trouble trying to see how this is going to happen and not affect the establishments. We've had a tough 2 years. It's been a very tough 2 years. And now we're finally getting back on our feet. And some of the numbers I see here are just, astronomical. Take Chrissy's, for instance. I took just the October numbers, and these are from the Illinois Gaming Board. We had the amount played was 548,000 dollars in plays. Let's assume average is $1 a bet. We're talking 548,000 pushes, which for only Chrissy's for the month of October was $5,480. And then worst case scenario, they're going to split that with us, and so our cost is going to be $2,740. If you take all of Carroll Stream, had over 8 million played in dollars. Again, assume $1 a bet. Some will bet 4, some will bet a quarter, sit there all day long.
Well, they can't split that with you. They're collecting it and they're remitting it. It's not a tax on you. They can't say you're responsible
That's the
for,
question, what protects us that it can't be split?
because it's a tax on the customer.
But the customer is not being charged, or they'll have to reprogram it to get the customer charged.
Correct,
So it's a programming change.
correct.
Which will be approved by the state and Scientific Gaming, because everything goes through them. It's well-regulated. Everything has to go through them.
They already know how many pushes that there are.
Pushes, yes, getting remittance for the penny a push. So really, what we're saying then, what you're saying, is that a $4 bet is no longer a $4 bet, it's a $3.99 bet.
Or it's a $4.01 bet.
But he only put in $4. So he only put in 4, so he's done at 4. So it's a $3.99 bet.
Okay?
I guess a lot of it will be up to the operator. If he wants to pass that 1 cent per push on to the customer, he can do that. In any event, he has to pay the village one penny per push. Whether he determines he wants to absorb it or not, it's up to him, up to the operator.
But I don't think we've given them a vehicle to do that. Not unless we are going to take it out of what the customer puts in. And that's a huge program.
All he needs to know is the number of pushes and times that times a penny.
To see how much they owe you, yes.
Yep.
Not to collect it.
That's up to him how he does it.
And we know that they know how to do this.
They've done it in other towns, yes.
And it's approved by the state with the programming changes?
These other towns have been receiving the money, yes. Are you getting pushback from the operator on this?
No, I'm just questioning it.
You're
I know
questioning it? Okay.
we're either going to lose out on having to pay half, or we're going to be losing out on new machines, new programming, new games, everything else from it. We're talking almost $1 million, $900,000 plus of revenue here, or taxes here. There's no way that they're going to be able to absorb that without affecting us somehow. That's what I'm worried about.
You shouldn't have to pay, yes. That's not the intent.
Do I have that guarantee that we don't have to pay?
Well, let us know if the operator comes back and say you have to pay.
And Bob, we're not commenting because we're not allowed to during
Okay,
report of listing post.
okay. And again, just with the whole push tax thing, you say other villages do it and so forth. We're residents of Carroll Stream. We've been here for 26 years. I really don't care what an Oak Lawn has done. I don't care what St. Charles does. I don't know what. We are here because Carroll Stream is Carroll Stream.
We
And
appreciate
I
it.
would hope that we would never introduce something that would affect all of our business. I've been in business for 15 years here. And this, if these numbers are anywhere close to being accurate, and they are finding a way to split it, or we don't get backing by not splitting it, it's going to cost us a lot of money. And again, I'm not sure where the push tax came from, why we need the push tax. We just introduced an alcohol tax, which was supposed to be repealed with the property tax. That was just new. We have a gasoline tax, and now the push tax. And we're coming off 2 of the worst years in existence. So I appreciate you guys listening to me. I would hope that you'd be able to take it under advisement to really look at this because the numbers don't add up. It's not, to me, I don't think, knowing what I know, it's a simple programming change that's going to be allowed by the state to do this. And if it comes to the point where the operators are going to have to pay for this, then we are going to have to pay for this. Let's not kid ourselves. Thank you very much. You guys have a great holiday season and safe.
Just one other comment. The village board recently passed an ordinance splitting the fee that has to be paid per terminal. Before it was $1,000 per terminal, and we require that the operator split that with the
That was
restaurant.
always the case.
Yeah.
That was always the case.
No, it wasn't. Well, they shouldn't have been doing that.
If
Yeah.
that was the
They were
case, it
prohibited
was
from
illegal
doing
Yeah.
that.
for him to do that.
They
So
were-
maybe the guy
they
you're
were always-
dealing with
yeah.
wasn't playing by the rules.
Yeah,
But we passed it so that we made sure that
we made sure that.
you got your fair share.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Have anything else?
No, I don't think so. There was nothing else put in.
Is there a motion to establish consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
Moved by trustee McCarthy, seconded by trustee Garvey. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Trustee Berger.
Aye.
Trustee Garvey.
Aye.
Trustee Zalick.
Aye.
Trustee Geezer.
Aye.
Trustee McCarthy.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, would you please read what is on the consent agenda?
Certainly. Staff reports and recommendations. Presentation of preliminary plan for the Klein Creek Stabilization, Section 2, Thunderbird Trail to Illini Drive, and Section 4, Klein Creek to Gary Avenue, and funding summary. That has been pulled off.
Yeah, we're going to have the presentation on that.
Absolutely. Okay. 2021-22 GIS Consortium Service Provider Contract, award of contract to MGP at a cost not to exceed $149,942 pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 5, Article 8, Section 5-8-14F of the Carroll Stream Code of Ordinances.
Yes.
Yes.
Lee's Road Tower Painting and Repairs, change order number 1. Approval of change order number 1, reducing the total contract amount by $10,573 for the Lee's Road Tower Painting and Repairs.
Yes. Yes.
Approval to trade in the village's John Deere 444H loader with a value of $24,000 and purchase a John Deere 2022 444P loader from Westside Tractor Sales under Sourcewell Contract Number 032119-JDC for the net amount of $162,369.59 pursuant to the provisions of Section 5-8-3B and subsection 5-8-14L of the Carroll Stream Code of Ordinances.
Yes. Yes.
Award of a contract to Consulting Engineering, Inc. for water system leak detection services in the amount of $23,120.
Yes.
Yes.
Award of a contract to Acres Group for tree trimming services in the amount of $56,000.
Yes.
Yes.
Approval of an agreement for services with Jacobs Engineering for design-build services for replacement of a WRC clarifier dome and repair of interior equipment in the amount of $201,341.
Yes.
Approval of change order number 4 for the lump sum cost of $67,468.02 for the replacement of the Gary Avenue pavement and adjustments to the prefabricated manholes necessitated by the reroute.
Yes.
Approval of change order numbers 1 through 4 for the fiscal year 2021-22 pond, shoreline, and wetland maintenance contract be approved to Bedrock Earthscapes LLC in the amount of $6,040.
Yes.
Award of contract for auditing services to Sikich LLP for the fiscal year ending April 30th, 2022, in the base amount of $28,750 with additional supplemental services as required, and acceptance of a 5-year service proposal dated November 30th, 2021, pursuant to the provisions of Section 5-8-14A of the Carroll Stream Code of Ordinances.
Yes.
Ordinances. Ordinance providing for the levy and assessment of taxes in the amount of $7,544,461 for the fiscal year beginning May 1st, 2021, and ending April 30th, 2022, of the Village of Carroll Stream, DuPage County, Illinois. This ordinance represents the property tax levy request of the Village of Carroll Stream and the Carroll Stream Public Library for 2021, which will be collected in 2022. The village's levy totals $3,800,000, and the library's levy totals $3,744,461. The village levy represents an increase of $0 from the amount levied in 2020. The library levy represents an increase of $70,000, or 1.9%, from the amount levied in 2020. The estimated financial impact to the owner of a home having a market value of $250,000 using 2020 tax rates is $236 village and $233 library.
Yes.
That is ordinance number 2021-12-56. Ordinance amending Chapter 11, Article 2 of the Carroll Stream Code of Ordinances by increasing the number of Class P liquor licenses from 7 to 8 for 7-Eleven Incorporated, doing business as 7-Eleven number 38850H, 425 East Geneva Road.
Yes.
That is ordinance number 2021-12-57. Resolutions. Resolution declaring a John Deere front-end loader Unit 70 surplus property owned by the Village of Carroll Stream and used as a trade-in to West Side Tractor as part of the purchase package of its replacement.
Yes.
That is resolution number 3227. Resolution authorizing the execution of a contract between the Village of Carroll Stream and John Fiotti as administrative adjudicator for automated traffic law enforcement, red light, and administrative tow hearings.
Yes.
That is resolution number 3228. New business. Raffle license, Emerson Elementary School PTA. Approval of a raffle license and waiver of the fee and manager's fidelity bond for their trivia night at American Legion Post number 76 to be held on February 26, 2022.
Yes.
Payment of bills. Regular bills, November 16th, 2021 through December 6th, 2021.
Yes.
Addendum warrants, November 16th, 2021 through December 6th, 2021.
Yes.
The 2022 schedule of meetings is attached for Village Board review and approval.
Received.
And that concludes the items on the consent agenda, Mayor.
Is there a motion to put those items on the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
the schedule should be also voted on and approved as part of the consent agenda then.
What is?
the schedule of meetings for the next fiscal.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
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 included.
So we make a motion now.
So moved?
Moved by trustee Berger, seconded by trustee
Second.
Garvey. Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Berger.
Aye.
Trustee Garvey.
Aye.
Trustee Zalick.
Aye.
Trustee Giesers.
Aye.
Trustee McCarthy.
Aye.
Is there a motion to approve those items by omnibus vote?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by trustee McCarthy, seconded by trustee Giesers. Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Berger.
Aye.
Trustee Garvey.
Aye.
Trustee Zalick.
Aye.
Trustee Giesers.
Aye.
Trustee McCarthy.
Aye.
Now we go back to H2, GIS Consortium Service Provider Contract.
No, one,
What are we doing? Which one?
the presentation.
Oh, the presentation, okay. Who's going to make the presentation? There you go.
Thank you.
Nice sound effect.
No, I'm okay right here. Evening, Mr. Mayor and trustees. This is our third presentation in a series on the Klein Creek Stream Bank Stabilization. We've previously talked about our Section 1, which is from Coon Road to Thunderbird Trail, and the funding that we've received from the IEPA and the DuPage River Salt Creek Work Group. And last meeting, we talked about Section 3, which is from Illini to Mitchell Lakes, and we also have some grant funding on that from the IEPA. Tonight, we're going to talk about Sections 2 and 4, our even sections, and these sections currently don't have any grant funding, but they do have all the single-family residences. And as you can see there, we've got in sections 1 and 3, only about 29 single-family residences. And in sections 2 and 4, we're looking at 98 single-family residences. So it's, 80% of all the private properties. There's not really much opportunity to provide a lot of the environmental amenities that we have on the first two we talked about, because there's really no open space in Park District or village-owned property. It's all single-family residences. So we're gonna, talk about these, and these are off in the future. We'll have to talk about the revisiting the capital improvements program and how they're gonna fit in, and also kind of a little historical background on Carroll Stream itself. So with that, Craig, take it away.
Yeah, I'll do the historical, and then the CIP is the last slide, so Bill will jump back in on that one. So just to kind of zoom in on where we are with geography, Section 2 has Illini Bridge here up at the north, and then beyond Illini Bridge, that would be Section 3 to the north. So Section 2 then comes down to Thunderbird Bridge, and we'll include this little section here as part of Section 2. And when you get to Seminole Culvert, you go up towards Gary Avenue, and that's what we call Section 4. So the main stem of Klein Creek is here, Section 2, and then this is what's called a tributary. That goes out to Kehoe Boulevard. That's what, so moving on here, I just wanted to show the 56 aerial just before Carroll Stream started getting development. That kind of shows the channel pretty well. It's basically, so the farmers could, dry out their land. That's just basically a channel that they dug, and pretty straight. You can tell it's artificial because of how straight it is. I mean, there's certain sections that sort of meander, kind of down here in our section 1, 1A and 1B, that a lot of that's still straightened And this whole section here that we're talking about, section 2, is pretty straight and narrow. As opposed to, over here on east side of Gary Avenue where things are less defined. Once you get past Gary Avenue, it's pretty defined there. So then, we have some historical photos, courtesy of Trustee Geezer. The one on the left is Gary Avenue. We're on Gary Avenue and we're facing west. So section 4 is in the foreground and section 2 is in the background there. The point of this and the picture over here, which is this property here, is just to look at everything was grassed, right? And then it was, a slope down to the channel, which is relatively small, and everything was pretty well maintained. This was 1961, so we're talking a few years after construction. And everything's pretty straight, right? What you see now today is nothing like that. It's just completely, a lot more trees, right? No grass, all trees. You end up with some meandering of the creek. It's no longer that straight channel. As that creek started cutting and swapping back and forth and that stuff. You'll also notice that, at the time, most people didn't have fences. You can see that the first person to put up a fence was over here on Thunderbird, and at the, because there was an easement there, they couldn't do their fence within the easement, so that's where it stopped. But you could kind of get the impression there that once people put up the fence, that area behind it sort of became, an afterthought, if you will. So these are the only pictures I have of kind of what Klein Creek, the main stem, is. Those are pictures we have in our file. This is from mid-1970s. These two pictures, roughly the same location. They're from Hiawatha and looking at some silverleaf properties. But the intent is just kind of show you the size of the channel. There's not a lot of trees in this particular section. And then I wanted this article that was pulled from 1961 I thought was pretty interesting, so I'm going to read it. It's a citizen comment. It said, discarded Christmas trees, unwanted bicycles and sleds, and just plain garbage have found what we hope is not a final resting place in our stream. The debris and growing weeds not only are unsightly and odorous, they are downright unhealthy, and the situation is getting worse. If the stream is not kept clean, we will have a dangerous breeding ground for mosquitoes, flies, and other insects, plus a number of other problems and hazards. What is the solution to the pollution? Let's not, through our inaction, require the imposition of fines to enforce our clean living. Let's not spend our tax monies to hire someone to do our job. Let's take care of it ourselves, starting now, this weekend. And let's do more than just removing debris and cutting weeds. Let's apply our imagination and ingenuity to make the stream a beautiful hallmark of our community. I just thought that was interesting. Only a few years after, building residences, we are already, as a village, we're having problems getting people to maintain their property and maintain drainage and flow, And I do like that last paragraph of talking about making it a hallmark of the community. I'm hoping that, with what we've shown you in the past couple slides, that we are kind of doing that as part of the stream bank stabilization. It's hopefully becomes more of a community amenity. So as far as Section 2 is concerned, in 1972, the DuPage County had a pretty massive flood, biggest one on record. That ended up with the village creating a 1973 stormwater study, which is basically what a lot of our stormwater detention ponds have been based on. Our large regional facilities and some of our private developments have been expanded because of this study. It's guided a lot of what's happened, and a lot of it has been done. One of the very first things they did is highlighted there in bullet point number 2, which was to take a bulldozer down the creek and increase the capacity of it so it could convey more water. Rather than spill out over its sides, let's get that water out and downstream as fast as possible. So At the same time, the Illini Drive bridge was really small. It just couldn't, pretty low, couldn't pass too much. So they said, well, let's make it bigger. But to make it bigger, they went deeper, and then they flattened out section 2. So if you read that bullet point, it says the depth at Illini is 1.5 feet below. So they cut the creek bottom 1.5 feet below so that the Illini Bridge could have more capacity. Well, that meant section 2 ended up, pretty flat. But that picture on the right is a picture of the construction work. Not quite sure exactly where that location is. But that was roughly in the mid-1970s, and you can see they're constructing in the wet, and which means that the flow, was something that was still in the creek while they were working, and it didn't work out well. So they didn't quite finish what they were supposed to in that project. It just the contractor was unable to meet the requirements. So it's kind of the legacy that we're dealing with today. That this is what we call the confluence. This is where the main stem and the tributary come together. That's a confluence, the two flows. This is my only slide on just the extent of the erosion. I think we've got other sources you can see from those story maps that I've provided. But I did want to point out that this property itself, right here at Seminole, is the worst property by far in terms of impact. I mean, they have frontage on both the tributary and the main stem. And in both instances, they've lost a significant amount of property. You can see this bank. This is, a couple feet high. They've got their fences here. Their driveway is right past that fence. It's pretty bad. It's a pretty bad location. So as early as, the 1970s, residents have been taking the stream bank stabilization into their own hands. That widening of the creek was this channel and culvert improvement. So that's a screenshot from the actual plans to widen the creek. You can see that even at that time, these two walls existed, and they constructed around it. And those are made out of concrete cylinders. So those are for quality control testing. So whenever you pour concrete, you make a cylinder, and then you break it later. So I always kind of joke as to which bridges didn't get their quality control done to make this happen. But those are pictures taken from 2017. It's actually done a pretty good job of stabilization. Not something we could do today. It's considered too structural of a practice. Not every measure is as successful as that one. So these two pictures go together. When you start at the top right, that's the furthest point upstream. So you're looking at a panoramic of that particular one property. So I would assume that the upper right part of that property had that continuous board, stabilization, and that's washed away. And that's pretty typical of a stabilization method that is not continuous. Because what happens is the flow is coming down, finds its way behind that upper end, and just wears away, and eventually just unzips it, like a zipper. So this is where sort of a more comprehensive approach of stream bank stabilization is what's recommended today, because when you do this piecemeal approach, it has a higher likelihood of failure. And so you can see then you go to the next property on the bottom one, and that is not quite as uniform in terms of the approach, and certainly not successful. In the last couple of years, I've actually helped out a couple of residents in terms of doing stream bank stabilization. What we've pushed for is that cobbled toe to stabilize it, and then some kind of grass up on top. These are 3 different properties, and they all happen to be on Thunderbird Trail. I don't see anybody asking so much from the Klein Creek main stem. some reason, Thunderbird Trail, people want to be proactive and work on this. Now, I do say that we, have funding in the CIP and we're looking to do stuff, but these people were insistent they wanted to get this done. So I did want to just point out the bottom one, that's the property line right in the middle. So to the right is the person that did the stabilization, and then to the left is the persons that didn't. And so you can see they've got kind of this fencing grating that they've sort of just shoved down in front of their fence so that stops eroding. The person that did the stabilization, you can see just to the right, their chain link fence was getting undermined. It had created a hole, and their grandchild could fall through that hole, and so that's what they were stabilizing the toe and then filling that in. So, but that's a pretty extreme example of what happens on Thunderbird in terms of the property on the left. Okay, so just two more slides. So we have we did a preliminary design for Section 2. It was just recently completed. The idea that we looked at was we have, a pretty decent drainage easement to work with. So we would take, the same wall that we used on Kehoe Boulevard. We'd put that wall all the way up against the easement. And then what that would do is, because we're trying to get grant funding, and the grant funding is looking more towards, the fish and the bugs. So what we would say is we'd stabilize with a retaining wall on the farthest outreach ends, and then within it, we'd kind of let the creek sort of meander itself. And that's, more conducive to aquatic life. And so we think that gives us a good chance, especially if you couple that with the fact that we have stabilized sections 1 and then section 3, and we have this section in between. We think that gives us a good chance of getting funding again. So that's kind of the strategy. So as far as section 4, we have not done any kind of preliminary plan on that design. I think that it would, if you have my opinion, it's somewhere in between. It's more like the other sections where you have certain locations where there's going to be wall and you can't really get away from that. But I think we can for the most part, cut the slopes back and do some boulder toe. So basically what those previous homeowners had already done. So with that, if there are no questions, then I move on to the final slide. There is just the CIP summary, and Bill will take that.
There we go. So this is the current 5-year capital plan, and although it's a little bit rearranged, or it will be rearranged this upcoming budget season, we had anticipated going 1, 2, 3, 4, and we had put a lot more money in Section 3 than we actually need, and a lot less in Section 4 that we do need. So amazingly, it all averages out to about $10 million. I don't know, that was just a kind of a lucky guess, I guess, on our part, in engineers here. And in the green box there, it shows that we have about $2.1 million in grant funding. So the total cost for this entire, Klein Creek stabilization would be about $8 million on the village. Now, we don't have quite enough time to discuss that tonight and how we want to pay for the remaining portion. We've been throwing some ideas around, and we are going to, stretch this out one more meeting and talk about funding and things that we could do, or, with the special service area and how that would impact residents, or potentially, if there's enough in the budget and we think it's worthwhile, fund it through village sources. So with that, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to take them now, or we can save it for January.
Can we just go back to the last slide? How high are these walls?
About 4 feet.
What?
4 feet, about 4 feet average.
So it would go 4 feet up
So it'd be,
be level with the backyard,
yeah, right.
and then,
So the backyards would be roughly.
then would it
usable.
drop down, kind
Drop.
of like the one thing, and then you'd have, like the Kehoe, and then you'd have a grassy area there?
Yeah, yeah, so like a vegetated area in front of the wall, and then a little, and then more slope down with the rock toe.
Yeah, back in,
Doesn't that seem high? I don't,
Yeah, what kind of liability do we
Yeah.
pick up on that of having a 4-foot drop-off?
well.
Yeah, we have to do
Let
some,
me- If I may, you know, back when Carroll Stream was all farm fields, it was a gradual slope from, you know, one side all the way down to the creek. And in between, you know, they ran bulldozers down the middle of it. And so now they've created more of a box channel that we just have to deal with now. And so what we're trying to do is, and if it is a 4-foot drop, it's not 4-foot drops everywhere. We'd probably have to put some safety rails similar to the Illini Bridge, the Thunderbird Bridge, what we have on Gary Avenue, just some rail there. But that's all we're looking at right now. Then we may discuss potentially like a shadow box fence if there's, you know, like on a Memorial Park where we talked about putting the path through, just to give residents some privacy. But at this point, we don't have all the smaller design details worked out. It's kind of a grand scheme. And also have to see how it fits in our funding and that.
thank you.
yeah.
I have a question. I presume there's easements all the way along this Klein Creek.
Correct.
Yes.
Does this construction anticipate taking more property from the property owners?
No,
And-
the retaining walls would be right there at the edge of that easement,
Okay,
in our easement, in the village easement.
okay.
The very edges is, and then.
And where there's erosion, you would just backfill with dirt
Correct.
once it's done?
Yeah, so the retaining wall would go up to the level of what the backyard is kind of supposed to slope to.
Right, so where the creek has meandered and cut away at properties, we would only go up to the easement, and then
Okay.
property beyond that would be kind of returned to the property owners.
Aren't there some areas we don't have an easement, though?
I believe all of them have easements.
This is how I thought we had a conversation one time that some of the property owners owned right to the middle or end of the other side of the creek.
Well.
Yeah, specifically along the main stem between Illini and Thunderbird.
Right.
Yeah, so we have an easement for sure.
Okay.
What's a little bit complicated is that the Silverleaf properties own both sides of the creek,
But we have an easement even
but
though.
we still have an easement.
We still have an easement,
It's
okay.
a much bigger easement because it goes all the way to the far side of the creek. So that does impact, you know, the properties along Silverleaf, because they basically own the entire creek in their backyard.
Yeah, I
Whereas-
just remember when we would do the shoreline, you know, the cleanup in May, this is maybe 10 years ago, and along that way, your office had difficulty because you had to get approval to enter private property. If I'm.
That's-
remembering
yeah.
this right?
Right, and we'd have to kind of strategically plan our entry points in the same way that when we reconstructed original Carroll Stream and we put storm sewers into the creek, we obtained easements through side yards. And so we would have to use those easements and restore them, obviously, in order to probably gain access to do some of this work.
So I wasn't here at the time, but, you know, maybe if the attorney could fill in. The easement is platted, and all it says is for maintaining drainage. There's no other language to it. I think there was probably a little bit of concern, you know, picking up garbage and walking the public through it. Does that really fit within that concept? I think just to be safe was probably the reason why they went that direction, or the, you know.
Or maybe
permission.
it's because you
That doesn't mean we
technically
didn't
had to
have an
go through someone's backyard to get to it, I don't,
Yeah.
rather than go from one.
Oh, I see, yeah.
You know.
And that too, yeah. But we do have easements.
Okay.
On
Perfect.
every single section here, so.
Is there any consensus on receptivity or resistance on the part of the homeowners along this thing?
They're looking forward to getting it fixed or not?
That is my overarching opinion from the few that I have talked to. I wouldn't say that I've talked to a majority of them, but every person I have wants something done.
So the village hasn't sent anything out saying.
Well,
"We're
at
looking
some
this."
point, yeah, we will be having a meeting inviting residents along the creek to view the plans, and
Oh, that's
they'll
right,
give
I
us their
thought
input, yeah.
So,
Yeah, we plan on an open house
Yeah.
in January.
I should remember that, thank you.
but I think Bill was alluding to maybe one more meeting before that open house.
Correct, yes.
Sort of-
Kind of just to discuss our funding before we get into the capital improvements program and how we want to take, what other, it isn't just Creek, we've got other, competing interests. So we want to make sure that, we have everyone's approval and how this is going to work out as far as, the village's overall financing.
All right.
Okay, well, thank you. Happy
Thank you.
holidays.
Nice presentation, thank you.
Sure. Thanks.
So do we need to do anything with H1? Just, okay. Report officers. Trustee Berger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to thank the village staff, Tia and team for a wonderful tree lighting ceremony. But went really well. As being the one with the camera, I was really glad to see the big floodlights when I got there, so I could actually get some pictures. I would also like to thank Lauren Wisnett from Glenbard North Music Department and the students who came to perform. I think having live music and instruments and all that just gives it more of that Norman Rockwell feel. So I thought that was great. And I'd like to continue building on that. I have a dream of having the entire choir there for one of the tree lightings, and I think that would be really neat. And I think everything we do there in town center is important because, it's a big focal point for Carroll Stream. So anything we do there, people are taking pictures on their own and posting them on social media, and I think it does a lot to enhance the image of the town and our community. There's a lot more to the community, a lot of helpful people, good people, but I think utilizing that area as much as possible would be a great thing for Carroll Stream. Some of the other things I was thinking about is perhaps having the high school or even maybe the community college over to have their bands or orchestras perform some concerts there in the park, weather permitting. Doesn't have to be at Christmas. We have the summer concert series, but even like a family comedy show. In other words, it's hard to find a clean comedy show, but I'm sure we could find one, for different entertainment there in the park. Do something to feature local artists, whether it's musicians or people with other talents. And I have this vision in my head. I'm a visual guy. I don't understand numbers and all that over there, but I'm a visual guy, and I just picture us hosting something like a village block party. People like to block off their street, and they have the fire truck come, and kids get excited, and everybody brings out food. But to do one as a village at the town center, I think would be kind of cool. But maybe we have some food venues out there and provide food and some music playing, and just have a big community party out there. And multicultural events. And I think, somehow hearing from residents, if anybody out there has ideas, things that they're dying to see at the park, if they reached out through whatever means, and to share their input on that too, I think that would be great. With the possibility of us not having another board meeting this month, I would like to wish our little baby at home, Emily, a happy birthday, which would fall on the next board meeting, should we have it, so if it is canceled, I won't be in trouble at home. I call her our little baby, but she'll be turning 18, and I don't want to talk about it. And also, if we don't have that meeting, I want to wish everybody happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And especially this year and, more recently, check on your friends and neighbors. Not just when it gets cold out like tonight, but just financially, emotionally, this time of year is hard on a lot of people. So, just checking in with somebody can make a big difference, I'm sure, but be a good neighbor and a good friend. Even if they don't live in Carroll Stream, you can check on somebody outside of Carroll Stream. I'll allow it. It's the holiday season. So with that, I'd end my report.
Let me go back for a second to try and, if you haven't figured out, that really wasn't the normal report of officers. We had asked all the trustees earlier in the week in writing if they would come up with ideas for use of the town center, because there was a time where we had 3-day festivals and we stopped them because of the cost. We had more property because the park district their building wasn't on the rest of that property. We had farmers markets. We had a lot of things there at different times. And then basically what happened is we went to Thursday night concerts and just a few other things. We used to do a Mother's Day breakfast. There was a lot of things that we did there, and it just seems like, and I'm not gonna blame COVID for it, I'm gonna say we always worry about how much money we spend on anything we do. Everything comes down to money. I hate to say that and sound that way, but that's exactly what happens. So Trustee Berger actually come up with a lot of ideas, and that was the whole plan, and I didn't want everybody, I wanted it done openly, one at a time, to come up with what they come up with, rather than meeting in private and trying to go through what we want to do. Because we have new trustees, we have 3 new trustees on the board that have lived here for a long time and worked here for a long time, and we really wanted to hear their actual feelings. So that's why this is a little different than just the report officers and then we're done. So with that, now you could understand where Trustee Berger was coming from, plus the other stuff that he covered. So thank you. So with that, Trustee Garvey?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to add to Trustee Berger's congratulations and thanks for the tree lighting ceremony. It was a lot of fun. I have lived here 25 years, and believe it or not, that's the first one I actually went to. So I know we haven't had it for a couple of years, but anyway, it was a lot of fun. It would give me another opportunity to go around and talk to people and meet people. And that was one of the biggest things that I liked about the summer concert series, that I could get around and meet people, see how they're feeling about things. So it gave me another opportunity, so I really appreciated that. It was very well done. So I want to thank all those involved. Excuse me. I just want to bring up an outreach that Wheaton Christian Center is having. They're calling it their Christmas giveaway. And I was at the North Aurora campus on Sunday, and they took me on a tour through all the rooms that they've prepared of stuff that they're just going to give away, and it was overwhelming. They would fill this room easily. And in every single one of the rooms, there must have been 8 rooms that were packed with toys and clothes and Lego sets and everything. And they're asking people who have needs to come in and just shop. And they're also giving away a free Christmas meal with this. So if anyone finds themselves in needs, and the Carroll Stream campus is doing the same thing. This coming weekend is North Aurora. Next weekend is the Carroll Stream campus. So I spoke with somebody there from the church today, and they agreed that I could promote this tonight. So they're in partnership with Toys for Tots. We all know about Toys for Tots and how well they've been doing things in the Chicago area for years, decades. So families also receive a food box with a Christmas meal. So if anybody wants to partake in this, the way to do it is to go to the website, thecarltoncenter.org, and click on the In the Community tab, and you can schedule an appointment to go there. Or you could just call the church at 630-653-1044, and they man the phones there Tuesday through Friday from 9 to 3. So I highly recommend it. And you know how we feel about Wheaton Christian Center here. I've got my list of ideas too, so I'm going to jump into those right now. I really like that the well and the, where we have the concerts now, the summer concerts. And I'm not sure if, I haven't gone through this is just brainstorming as far as I'm concerned. I don't know if this would work. Some of these ideas may not fit into our ordinances about what we can do with the property there. But I think it'd be a beautiful location for weddings to be conducted there. I mean, it's like really conducive. It's a beautiful walk-through area. And maybe people are already doing that, so I don't know. I spoke with Linda, one of the volunteers here in Carroll Stream, at the Christmas tree lighting, and she had an idea for a Brittany trees competition where we could get corporations to, you know, bring as many trees as people can contribute to and set them up for a Christmas tree lighting competition. Or maybe we could even set up an avenue where we plant permanent trees there that would never grow over 8 feet tall, maybe. And I don't know where it would be in the town center, but someplace there, where every year it becomes a tradition where classrooms can adopt one of the trees and decorate it for that Christmas season. That might be something we can do. Ice rinks. I wouldn't mind seeing a couple of ice rinks out there. They don't have to be real big, and I'm not talking about the walls ones, just low where you've got maybe a 2x6, you know, to keep the water in. We could set up one pretty simply for hockey players and another one for recreational skiing. And I don't think it'd be a lot of expense to it. People do them in their backyards. We could just do a little bit bigger on that blacktop area there. And here's something that I do, and I'm pretty sure this would be a success, but a pop-up summer night lawn chair movie. I've got one of these 12-foot blow-up screens, and I do it in my neighborhood, and I'd start it for my family, but everybody comes out. They want to see what movie you're playing, and, you know. So, and you can rent these things. You can buy them. You would need a larger sound system than I have, but I think it'd be a great idea. You could do them on, since it's in the summer, they would have to start later so people could see them. So maybe on weekends, rather than competing with the concert series on a Saturday night or something, every week we could do it and have, you know, a couple of weeks to have musicals with sing-alongs where the kids can sing and dance. We could have themes like Toy Story weeks or Star Wars or something like that. And it doesn't have to be in that area where we do the summer concerts. It might be over towards the lake area, so the people can be on the incline of the lake that's there and put the screen down at the bottom so everybody can see it. You're not looking through everybody else's lawn chairs. But it would create a sense of community where everybody knows, well, let's go to the summer movie this Saturday night, nothing else to do. It would work, I think, and I think it would draw more people to the town center. So that's my ideas. Have you driven down County Farm Road lately and seen the large lit-up Jesus is the reason for the season sign? I put that up every year. I've done it for almost 10 years now to remind me and any others who care to notice why we celebrate this season. So just take notice if you're driving down County Farm Road. And I expect that we're probably not going to have another meeting this month, so I just want to offer my heartfelt prayers for a healthy, blessed, and meaningful Christmas season. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Trustee Garver. Trustee Zalick.
Thank you. First off, I look forward to Wednesday for Christmas sharing, doing some volunteering, dressing in layers, because it looks like it's going to be a little chilly. But
It'll be worse than tonight. It's supposed to be bad, isn't it?
it's supposed to be cool. Very. So I look forward to volunteering for that great cause. The Knights of Columbus, which I am a fourth-degree knight at Corpus Christi, is holding another blood drive, community blood drive, on December 9th from 3 to 7. Walk-ins are welcome, but appointments are preferred. If you go on the Knights of Columbus webpage, you can make an appointment with the QR code. I posted it on my webpage and Facebook, so if you feel inclined, every donation, I believe, saves 3 lives. So please consider giving blood. Third, the National Fire Protection Association claims that every year there's about 160 house fires because of Christmas trees. Make sure you water the trees, keep the candles away from the drapes and the trees, and have a safe and blessed Christmas season. Tomorrow is the 80th anniversary of Pearl Harbor, so just another reason to keep military and first responders in your thoughts and prayers during this season. My ideas, I guess it's kind of a mishmash of what I've heard so far, but like the Candy Cane Lane, I think that should be so much more that we should decorate those trees, and I love the idea of having trees, either Brittany's trees or planting little trees and having the community decorate them, because after all, it is a Carroll Stream Town Center. So I love that idea. Taste of Carroll Stream, I know that's happened once before. I like having the restaurants come in, and we can incorporate that with other stuff, like the block party or a music festival. Instead of one day, have it a weekend of local bands, just local bands. It could be a kid band, it could be, but something like that. I know we have car shows there. I love the craft show idea. And just to bring the community together. And I actually do like the music or the movie night, because more and more neighbors are having those inflatable screens. And that's a great idea. So that would be also one. I didn't think of that one, but I like that idea. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, trustee Zalick. Trustee Gieser.
Thank you, thank you. Happy holidays, everybody. Hanukkah is now over, so happy Hanukkah to those who celebrate. Merry Christmas to everyone, and Happy New Year, in case we don't meet again before the end of the year. Speaking of decorations and the holidays, the holiday decorating contest is moving along. You can still nominate your property, your friend's property, your neighbor's property by going to decorating contest at carrollstream.org. The deadline for nominations is Friday, December 17th at 5 p.m. And Tia, could you tell everybody about the story map and how people can access that?
Absolutely. We have a story map on the front page of our website as well as on our social media where you can view the already nominated homes and set out a route for yourself and go out and see in person. Have a little bit of holiday fun with it. So far we have 15 homes posted, but I'm sure once you get some more nominations in, we're going to have quite a few more for you to check out.
After this meeting, I'm going to go out and take some pictures of some of the homes that were nominated throughout the day today. So there'll be some new ones up on the board. So check that out as often as you can and take your family out and enjoy. There's some really terrific ones out there, and individual board members too. If you see houses that are terrific, nominate them or let me know, and I'll make sure they get into the mix. The tree lighting was a terrific event the other day. I thought it would be cold and miserable, but it was a terrific night. It was really nice. And what I really enjoyed about it was how collaborative it was. We had different governing bodies there participating, and that's something hopefully we can do more things collaboratively. And we can talk about some of that, or I'll mention some of that when I get into my list a little bit as well. I too look forward to Wednesday's Christmas sharing volunteering. It's a tradition in our house to always volunteer. I know other board members have done it for many years as well. And it's just, it's a way of, we're helping our own. We're helping people in Carroll Stream, and that's something we can all be proud of and something that is very important this time of year. Speaking of a few of my ideas for the town center, it is the holidays. Other people have talked about holidays. I've talked to Manager Meller and others for a number of years. I would love to see the town center better lit. Now, other towns are doing different things, and that's fine, but it would be nice if we had at our town center different lighting. You know, we don't have to make it crazy like the Morton Arboretum or the Botanic Garden, but we have the path going around the lakes and around the bowl where the gazebo is with the trees would be a tremendous place to put some things up. And it would get people walking out there and exploring that area a little bit. One of the ideas I also had to go along with that, so I'm glad that the other trustees have brought this up, is that kind of a trail of trees along Fountain View. I've suggested this for a number of years, and that, you know, Cosley Zoo does it, a number of other places where a scout troop, a family, a business, a social organization can sponsor a tree, and you would just do it along. Now, it would look a little sad if there were only 3 trees, but so we'd want to make sure we had, you know, a number of people sponsoring these. And I love the idea of maybe having a Brittany's Trees participate, or the people would buy them from Brittany Trees, so you're helping another organization within the community. So that's something I think we should, you know, think about if we get the kind of money, or if we get the kind of interest. But also as part of that with the trees, you'd sponsor it, you know. So my family, if we chose to do it, you'd pay for the honor of decorating the tree. So that would somewhat pay for itself. Something we've done in the past, and a number of people have talked to me, especially throughout the pandemic, so nothing has been able to be done, is a return of 5K races. We've done them through other organizations in the past, so they run them. But the village has had a CARA-certified course at one point. I'm sure it would have to be remeasured. But so groups could then just utilize that course, and people would be getting their points or their credits for working on running on a certified course. Of course, that's something I think it would be a collaborative thing. We would work with different organizing committees, organizations, and groups, because a couple of groups have asked me about the idea of maybe doing a turkey trot. So something to consider, and as people step up, I think that would be something we could consider, because we can't, you know, we're all going to come up with a million great ideas. It's a matter of staff time and money. You know, how much do we want to put on the backs of our staff? And so if we can have outside groups and organizations being involved with this, it could just highlight it all. One thing I'd love to return to, and I'm glad others have mentioned this, is the outdoor movies. We did this 10 years ago, Matt?
Yeah,
something like that. We did it for several years.
A good run for a little while.
Yeah, it went all right, but we kind of got crazy rather than thinking, just keep it really family-friendly. But I think that would be a tremendous thing to do. They always seem to go well, and, you know, and you wouldn't go overboard, in my opinion. You'd go 2 or 3 maybe a summer, and that would be tremendous. Speaking of the arts, why not, if a group comes in, why not allow them to do outdoor theater? I know First Folio, a lot of people have gone to the First Folio at Mays Lake, where they do outdoor Shakespeare and other theater there. That's closing up. So maybe there'll be a group that would like to have a location. Maybe that, you know, we would charge rent or something like that. Something to think about. Those are just a few of the ideas. I have some stupid, crazy ideas, which I think I'll pass for right now. Well, I told Tia the one idea, and she looked at me and she went, well.
Out of your balloons?
You know, well, if you want to do a balloon festival, why not? Why not? If there was an organization that wanted to help do that. I'm not a balloon guy, or do we have balloon experts here, you know? You know, that would be tremendous. Okay, I'll mention it. This was an idea, just to get people thinking, there's a big, stupid idea, but it would accomplish a couple things. It would potentially draw people to the area. It would make us think about historic preservation and the history of our village. My idea was the village buys the very first house occupied, which is on Mohawk, and moves it to the town center. Of course, I know, the cost of buying, the cost of moving. The cost of this, what about allocation of property, you know, utilizing for other, I get all that. Just say this as.
Just brainstorming.
Just brainstorming and trying to think big. And at the minimum, I'd like to see a full schedule of concerts again next year. You know, should we be allowed to do that and it's safe for our residents. So, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Sorry I took so long there.
No, there was no time limit on what we were going to do. I just wanted,
Okay,
I just
page 3
felt
to
it was-
7.
it was time, but we are way out there right now.
Well, no, and Tia and I had this conversation today, and I said, I got a crazy idea, but it's more of an
Crazy is a
idea
good word.
to kind of like uncork the thoughts, you know, so.
It's an excellent idea.
Mayor sarcasm.
You know what? That's what I wanted. I really wanted the ideas. That
Yeah,
was when
exactly.
when I talked with
I
staff,
understand,
this is what, you are doing exactly what I wanted you to do. Believe me. Trustee McCarthy.
First off, whatever holidays you celebrate, please enjoy them. I celebrate Christmas, so I'll say Merry Christmas, also Happy New Year. Tia, wonderful job Friday night. And Tia actually said something today that actually really clicked with me. The event was, nobody had to pay for anything. Nobody had to ask for anything. And we had the library, the park district, the village, of course. Who am I missing?
We also had the Parks Foundation and, of course, the entertainment provided by the Glenbard North students who are part of the honor choir.
Exactly, and it was, nobody had to pay anything, nobody had to donate anything. People could just enjoy themselves, and thank you for mentioning that, because sometimes I lose things like that. You know, you start to think big. Oh, let's get some vendors there, let's do this, let's do that. And then when you said that, and the mayor also kind of said the same thing, and I'm like, you know, that's exactly it. People can just come and enjoy themselves with no stress of worrying, what about somebody who, well, no, we can't go because we don't have money this week. Doesn't come up. So, well done. And I also do want a special shout out to Charlie Tusek for taking all the Santa pictures. Well done again, Charlie. This is about year 8 he's been doing it. So, that's a lot. He puts in a lot of time and a lot of effort to really make the pictures actually memorable where people want to keep them. So, again, thank you, Charlie. Town center. I think there's some great ideas tonight. I really do. Some we've tried before, and I'd love to bring back the drive-in movie or the walk-in movies, and maybe spin it into a family picnic. You know, everybody gets a little area that they can do their picnic while they're watching a movie. The skating rink. We've tried it before. I'd love to try it again. You know, again, I don't know if we stopped because of liability, or if we stopped because it wasn't being used, or if it was just a dollars and cents thing. I don't know, but I love the idea of bringing it back, and I like the idea of having 2 different ones. Yeah. The recreational area, and if some kids want to show up and play hockey, or even if adults do, they're not in the way of the people who just are trying to skate around. So I do like that idea. I'd love to bring the Kids' Day back. We did it for 4 or 5 years. One of the local childcare facilities actually sponsored it. The music was geared towards kids. They had some bouncy houses and a little bit of everything, but it was strictly geared towards 8 and under, maybe 10 and under. Yeah, something like that. And I think it's a great way to encourage families to come back out to town center and be involved in the community. I like that a lot. I enjoyed when we had Oktoberfest and Mother's Day. I think Mother's Day was a cool little event. Outside of us not having the tent anymore, It was pretty decently attended, and it was a lot of fun. So, I mean, the little things like that, I do like the idea of bringing back. We tried farmers markets before. I'd really like to try a spin at something like what Wheaton does with the French market, but on a weekend day, not on Thursday. We had the farmers market for a while. It was a week morning. I don't remember which day, if it was a Wednesday or a Thursday. But why not kind of open it up and do it on weekends where somebody can actually show up, because a lot of us work. And I think that would be low impact, not too much finance or people power. So I kind of like the idea of another reason for people to come out on a Saturday morning and maybe even spin it with a 5K or, you can kind of connect them. And I don't know for this last one, I've seen people loving it in Geneva. A way to do a wine walk. Maybe you have some jazzy type music playing, and you do the circles around just the town center pond and maybe Mitchell Lakes. And you get maybe our local restaurants who want to sponsor it. They have a table for their wine and.
Craft beer, too.
And I'm good with that too. If you want to spin it something different since somebody else is doing a wine walk, maybe we do a wine and beer or a craft beer walk. But a way to get people walking around and enjoying the area, because it's a beautiful park when you actually get out there and walk around. The way everything's grown in, it's just, I think it's conducive to things like that, where people could kind of be moving and chatting and just getting to know people. Like I said, the other ideas, I think our new trustees have all came up with some great ideas that I think is well worth looking at. And I would absolutely like to see us use town center 50%, 100% more than we do now. And with that, I'll end my report.
Thank
Mr. Mayor, could I add one thing?
you. No, you had your time. Yes, you can. You
Turn 'em
know
off.
how I am.
Turn 'em off.
Absolutely.
He's out of here. No, you can't have anything Purdue.
I mean, the #1 ranked Purdue Boilermakers in college basketball after beating Iowa. I held back on an idea that some of you have heard, but I was inspired by Trustee Geezer's talk about moving an entire house to the to the park. I would love to see a stage built at the town center, and it would allow us to. It would give us more flexibility in the type of entertainment we provide there. Your idea about bringing in theater, which I love, would make that easier. Of course, that, everyone sees dollar signs when you start talking about building a stage, and I'm not talking about something, I'm not talking about building Ravinia, but if we could pull that off, that would be great. But perhaps have it funded through a sponsorship, the such and such stage at town center, naming rights for a local business who wants to get some advertising and invest in their community where they have their business. So a new stage would be my move a house idea inspired by Rick Geezer.
And to piggyback, I know we talked about it where the stage would be on the other side facing the industrial and Gary Avenue instead of the houses. So that, if the way we have it now, the music goes towards the houses on Boone and Bowie and that area. If we can be it on the other side, we might be able to even hold it a little later because the music is gonna be going towards the industrial area and east.
Well, that and being
Then,
The sun will set in your eyes.
and then, like you said, well, if the band shell's big enough,
right.
but like I said, and then during 4th of July, the band could be playing and everybody's facing that, and fireworks, just a thought.
Yeah, and you're right about the sunset if it's designed properly, though, but you could just imagine sitting there watching a concert during the summer concert series and having the sun setting off in the distance. As somebody who likes to take pictures, that'd be a.
And then Rick's going to drop a house on it.
Exactly. You could sit on the roof.
And then we'll play Wizard of Oz, speaking of dropping houses.
Okay, Tia, do you have anything?
Are you asking for any suggestions for events at Town Center? or for a report?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, as far as the report, I would like to thank everyone who played a role in the holiday tree lighting. The event is done in partnership with the Carroll Stream Park District, but we also get a lot of support from other organizations, which include the Carroll Stream Public Library, who brought craft items and who sponsored our visit from Santa's reindeer. We also have a significant amount of support from our CERT volunteers. They're the ones who make sure that everything gets handed out, that the Santa line stays orderly. They make sure Santa has a safe escort to get to the holiday tree, and they're just a big part of our holiday cheer every year. In addition, the Carroll Stream Fire District makes sure that Santa has his bright, noisy, shiny entrance along Fountain View. And the Carroll Stream Parks Foundation made sure that we all stayed warm by keeping coffee and hot cocoa flowing. So it's an important event to our community, and you can see that by the fact that so much of our community pitches in. As far as events for Town Center, I think we heard a lot of really lovely ideas tonight, and I'm excited to take that, as well as maybe taking a look at what events some other communities around us are doing to get some inspiration. One other avenue might be to try to come up with something that is distinctive. So we talk about a lot of our neighbors maybe having an Oktoberfest or a French market or concerts in the park, but maybe there's an opportunity for us to come up with something, a nice partnership with some other organizations in town that kind of hits a little bit more of a niche and allows us to capitalize on that for advertising and drawing people in.
Thank you, Tia. Madam Clerk? Julia?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I love hearing all these ideas from all you guys about the town center. In terms of the movie night in the park, I know Hanover Park continues to do that. I think it's on a weekly basis, and it's very successful. My deputy clerk, Sherry Craig, her husband is the mayor there, and she said that's one of the biggest events in the summertime. So whoever's going to implement that, talk to the Craigs in Hanover Park, because they've got it down. Also, I wanted to wish everybody happy holidays, if we are not going to be meeting before Christmas again. And regarding the holidays, too, I wanted to thank all the Brittany's Tree volunteers who come out, rain or shine, sleet or snow, every year to put up those trees. Our tree is absolutely gorgeous this year. It's like 8 feet tall. Greg had to get on a ladder to put the star on this time. It was amazing. And I just think it's a great way to remember Brittany Valine, who died at the age of 8, 17 years ago, from a genetic heart condition called long QT. So the Brittany trees are beautiful. They honor her memory, but they also fund a great organization which uses the proceeds to basically help keep those kids alive who were born with this genetic disease. It's a genetic heart condition, and then also support the families of children and young adults who have that. So great program, and again, a shout out to all those volunteers who come every year to put those trees out there. It's a lot of work. And another thing I want to mention is this Thursday, the 9th, at 6 p.m. is a Cert Graduation, which will be taking place at Fire Station 28. So if any of you have been involved in Cert, I'm sure a lot of you have. I know Mary is a huge involved person. So if you want to show up and just congratulate those graduates, that will be at 6 o'clock this Thursday. And in terms of the Christmas sharing, unfortunately, Greg and I won't be able to attend this Wednesday. We've done it most years, but we have a conflict. He was invited to a Choose DuPage event, which is an important event. It's an organization that tries to make partnerships between the public sector and the private sector to promote business and bring new businesses into the local communities in DuPage County. So it's an important event that he would like to attend. I said I'd go with him. So unfortunately, I won't be at the Christmas sharing, but I do appreciate everybody who volunteers every year. And again, social services, they do such a great job taking care of our residents, our neediest people. So thank you, everyone, for helping with that. And let's see, almost done here. Last thing I'd want to mention is that my deputy clerk and I had dinner recently at Carroll Stream Rocco Vino's, and we finalized details with the manager there for our big clerks meeting that's going to take place Wednesday, February 2nd. So if you can mark your calendars, Sherry and I are going to be hosting, it's the Municipal Clerks of DuPage County. So people from all over DuPage come. We have a big meeting, we have dinner, we have socializing, and I'm going to work on getting tickets for those of you who can come. It would be nice to showcase not only a nice restaurant in Carroll Stream, but also our elected officials as well. So mark your calendars, Wednesday, February 2nd. And with that, I just wanted to say, please, happy holidays, and shop and dine in Carroll Stream.
Thank you. Mr. Rhodes, our village attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to wish all of the trustees, all the village staff, village residents, and also all of the village businesses in town a very healthy and a very happy holiday season, a Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year. And following up on one thing that Trustee Swarzy said, it's very nice when I drive through my town, which is not very close to Carroll Stream, to see Brittany's trees all over the area. It's wonderful that they've reached out so far with their, and it's getting more and more difficult to get a Brittany's tree now these days. You really have to get in early. So it's a wonderful organization, and it's just terrific to be able to drive through and see those trees.
1,850 trees this year.
Yes. Yes. Yes, and there's 4 of them on my block.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Rhodes. Mr. Meller, our village manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In addition to the DARE graduates this week, are the CERT graduates, congratulations to the 5th grade students at Heritage Lakes Elementary School who graduated from the Police Department DARE program last week. Just a reminder that this is the final week of leaf pickup. Residents can put containerized leaves out with stickers through this Friday on the regular pickup day. So if today was your day and you forgot to do it, you missed it. And finally, the village offices will be closed Friday, December 24th through Monday, December 27th in observance of Christmas holiday, and on December 31st, which is a Friday, in observance of New Year's holiday. PD, of course, will be open. That's all I have.
Well, tonight was a little different. We really wanted to try and get a perspective of the entire board of the use of town center. A lot of us have talked through the year in the last 2 or 3 years. I'm not going to blame COVID only for it. I think the only thing we really slowed down there was maybe concerts and did less. We need to find something to bring the community together. I say it all the time, it wasn't my idea to build town center, it was Ross Ferrero's idea. His fingerprints are all over it, his name is all over it, but it was a wonderful idea, being we have no downtown, we have no train station. I make comments, you can't buy a television in this town, and if you want clothes, now you gotta go to Grunt Style or buy used clothes at Savers. We're not the normal town with a downtown area and a shopping district. We're different than most towns. And I think that's why, when I say I live here because of the people, I think that's what it is. The people made this town. It isn't corporations that made this town. We've got a lot of corporations in the industrial park, some we never hear from, some are active, some of them they're there. They provide jobs. But it's the people that make the town. And that town center was the idea to bring everything together. And a lot of what we did there worked, and then it just like stopped working. And that's why we need to try and revitalize what we want to do. The only thing I'm going to say is that everything we want to do is time and money. And that's what we have to look at. One of the reasons we talked about, the staff and myself, let's get this out now because the budget process is coming. And what we don't want to do is not have any money to use for next year if we don't start thinking about what we want to do and come up with some ideas of what we want to spend. There won't be any money in there, and then we got to go out like we do in Tia. My hat's off to you. All those concerts that are out there are paid for by people that volunteer to give money. It's not that the village writes a check for $20,000 and says, Tia, here's a check for 20,000, find 7 bands that'll play, or 6 bands that'll play. That's not the case. So it's a lot of work. It's also very tedious on the staff. Somebody mentioned the 5K runs. I was out there, they were a teacher that had passed away from the high school.
Bud Swanson.
And I remember walking around with Joe, our village manager, with his master's degree and all the money that he makes, and the #1 guy in the village, and walking around with them little pinchers after everybody left, and we're picking up garbage. The mayor and the village manager. And I said to him, when you graduated from college and you finally got your dream job in the town, did you think you'd be walking around picking up garbage with the mayor? And he said, you know what he said to me? It's part of my job. It's part of what I do. But, and I respected him for that because it was something that he just felt had to be done. And I watch our staff on Thursday nights, and every time we do something, everybody's out there, you pull everybody together, and we all do this together. But if we start to do 15, 20, 25, or 30 things, start to think about the staff that's working, the hours that they work, and then stay out there from 8 o'clock in the morning here, some get in at 7 o'clock, and then at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, we show up at 6 o'clock and leave when it's over with. They've been there for 2 hours setting up, and they're there for another hour or 2 cleaning up. So we have to take that into consideration. We used to use public works guys. We paid them time and a half to be out there. Do we want to do that again? Those are the things that when we got to think about what we want to do, I mean, and think about the space that's out there. We want to move a house there. We don't have enough space now, but I mean, how much space would we have to give up to do that?
Exactly.
I mean, those are the things we have to look at. A French market, a great idea. I think a farmer's market might be a good idea. There's a lot of ideas that we have, and I thank you for all coming up with what you did come up with as ideas. We'll just have to take it to the next level. I just wanted, with the staff, we wanted it out in the open of how everybody felt. I'm sure there's a lot more ideas that you have that we'll use and try to incorporate, but we can only take so many of them and because of the funds that we have, but we'll try and stretch that. So that's something to think about. The tree lighting, Tia, my hat's off to you. Thank you for what you did out there. I can't thank everybody, the Park District, the library had the deer out there. I saw the truck coming in with I thought it was the truck from Caputo's with food, and it was like in the dark. I couldn't see it in the dark. Thinking, why would they hit me? And then all at once they open up and there's 2 deer in there. I mean, which was really, everybody really enjoyed that. You know, and when you think about what we did, and I got a little people that were in another town and then came to our town. Well, they had 3,000 people. The mayor was up in a bucket truck and lit it ain't about me. It ain't about a bucket truck going up. It's about Christmas. I wouldn't trade that kid.
That was awesome.
That kid. It went crazy when he saw Santa Claus and he come charging him and grabbed him by the leg. I mean, I wouldn't trade that for bucket trucks and everything else that we could do. That's what we're about. That is what Carroll Stream is. And then to take him, and I thought, you know what? Mary's kids aren't here anymore. They're all grown up. My grandkids aren't around anymore. Let him light the Christmas tree. Let him throw it. Could you count to 3? He said, yeah, 1, 2, 3, boom, the lights went on. I mean, he'll never forget that. And anybody that was there that saw it ain't gonna forget it. That's what we're about. And I try to tell people that all the time. That's what Carroll Stream is. It isn't a downtown with a train station and fancy everything. It's people. And that's why I live in this town, because of the people. And that's why we all do what we do. And I want to thank all of you, for all of the time that you spend and all the projects that you work on to make this a better community and make it a healthier community. To the staff, as the mayor, I can't say enough. I mean, yous are all open with me. I work close in community development. I don't have to worry about what Bill Cleveland does. Cleveland, thank you for all that you do. Everybody, Baytech, Public Works, I don't question, Police Department, no questions at all. We are so fortunate to have the staff that we have, the police department that we have, the public works that we have, I mean, award-winning, idea after idea after idea. That makes us all look good, but it's all about one thing. It's about taking care of the people in this town. And that's where our emphasis is always at, and that's where it's going to be for the future. I'd like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, being we're not going to have the next meeting until next year, which I think will be around the 5th or the 6th. I'm not sure exactly what day it is, the 3rd. One thing I know that if I make a mistake, these two guys are right here, they give me that, either pass me a note or give me the I get it, okay. So the 3rd, I'd be the only one here on the 6th, so. Christmas sharing is Wednesday, and Trustee Geezer, I don't know why I didn't put it in my calendar. I knew I had a free day that wasn't going to be a free day. So, but, I mean, and that's what we're about. Those are the things that we do. I mean, that's why we're here. And I think that's why everybody that's run for office here is why they're here. And that's why I think, Bob, how long you been here? 30, how many years? 37 years. That's why he stays for 37 years. And I'm sure that a lot of people that are here, Bill Cleveland's been here the same thing. I think he started around the same time. Some of us have been on this board or involved in politics for 25 or 30 years. I'm pushing 26 years, I think, 27 years. I don't even know, between the fire district and here. But it's for the people, and that's really what we do. So we can't forget that. So that's why I'm excited about some of the ideas, because it was for the people. And the same thing we did the same thing with the movie where I live. And I said, who's going to go? Everybody. And it's like, I didn't buy it until I saw it. Because we tried it at the town center and it kind of like fizzled out. So with that, I mean, we'll work on it. We'll work on it together, but we have to keep the cost in mind, because we're not,
Manpower.
we're not, and I hate to throw names like Naperville or Barrington or Inverness. We have to work on what we do to try and raise the money to get it done. I mean, I like the idea with the Brittany's trees. Instead of buying one and putting it in my yard, I'll buy one and put it there and I'll decorate it. I mean, and those are the kind of ideas that we could use where it won't cost a lot of money. We know we have to spend more money at the town center. We know we're gonna have to put probably 700, 800,000 into the fountain. The fountain has been Band-Aided and Band-Aided and Band-Aided. I've come to the conclusion, I said to the staff, if we can't fix it, fill it in with dirt and make a big flower pot out of it. We can't do that. I mean, it was something that just came out of my mouth, which was not very good, but I mean, to spend the money, we never put a lot of money in it, we put a Band-Aid on it. And I mean, nothing lasts forever, so we have to spend some money on there to do it the right way. That's the second largest fountain if we do nothing else with the town center, for me, fix the fountain so when we drive by, the water goes up and people go out there to take pictures for weddings. And somebody asked if we do weddings. I've been out there for several weddings. Yeah, and I mean, that's very common for weddings to be there. I mean, I've been out there with the police and some of the marriage, that's a great place to go. We don't stop people. But we also have to be careful. We have ordinances that we have to be careful on how we use the town center. Once we let somebody use the town center, and then we have to let everybody use the town center, and those are the things that we got to be careful of. I mean, we could have, and I'm not knocking neo-Nazis, but I mean, if we let this group use it and that group wants to use it, we're not going to end up in court because we have to let them use it. So we got to be real careful what we do with the town center. We have to be involved in what we do with the town center. Am I correct when I say that? I see everybody shaking their head.
You're correct.
Right? I mean, those are the things sometimes we have to think about. It'd be nice to say, yeah, you could use it, you could do it, but if we're not part of it, it isn't that easy to do it without having repercussions later on. So with that being said, we just have to be careful what we do so we don't end up in court and we don't end up getting sued by anybody. We're going into closed session?
Yes, sir. We have an executive session for collective negotiating matters, Section 2C2 of the Open Meetings Act. There will be no action taken afterwards, so the motion will be to go into executive session to discuss Section 2C2 collective negotiating and then to adjourn directly from executive session.
Very good. So is there a motion?
So moved?
Second?
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.
And Rick, a village-wide trivia night.